Hello and welcome to the program that tours the world's design studios, Concept Cars.
I'm Adrian Bell.
And I'm Howard Stableford, and together we'll look at a new crop of machines which will never see a manufacturer's forecourt, but may pave the way for cars to come.
Here's a Jeep which isn't designed for anything tougher than posing in the city, a Japanese city that is. The Jeep Treo is based around the Japanese animation style called anime. One of the characteristics of anime is exaggeration, particularly of eyes. That is translated in the Treo to the wheels and tires. 19-inch wheels are pushed way out towards the corners of the vehicle. What's more, as this is a Jeep, the wings are all set above the tires and are bolted onto the side of the vehicle, in keeping with the machine meets the great outdoors ethos that is characteristic of contemporary Jeeps.
Treo was a project that I gave to the West Coast studio, our Pacifica studio. And I said to them, I'd like a concept car for Tokyo that can hold its head up amongst all of the wacko concepts that Tokyo tends to come up with. From the greenhouse on wheels to the people sitting in a tall vehicle on mushroom stools, bar stools. So I said, I want something, but I want it to look really good and very professional. I don't want it to look like it was a project of a student project. And so they really put their heart into 2 or 3 concepts, actually. And I picked the Jeep Treo as being the best of the 3 concepts. And I felt the Jeep name was more universal than, for example, they came up with the Dodge concept and they came up with a Chrysler concept. But somehow Jeep, that design, this concept worked perfectly for Tokyo.
The Treo looks like it could be a vehicle from Star Wars. The teardrop form seems as though this is something destined for the sky rather than the ground, or perhaps it could be a stylish lunar module. The lamps also serve as a mount for Jeep Rubicon mountain bikes, which is an interesting idea, but fails to take into account that the vehicle is designed for 3 people, not 2. Doh! But overall, we like the Treo.
The Treo, by the way, is perfectly well worked out, engineered and everything. And if we had a fuel cell under the floor, we would need those wings up there that was where we put the cooling vanes up underneath there. And at the same time, we wanted to carry 2 bikes on the back, and so that served as the top for the front forks, and then we got pull-out latches down the bottom. So there's nothing on the vehicle that couldn't be produced.
The Treo keeps Jeep's distinctive 7-bar grille. It is non-functional in this case, as the car is powered by a fuel cell, or other advanced power plant of the future, as we're told by Jeep. The grille slots serve as a means to let light into the interior. Flanking the grille are large headlamps, in keeping with the anime approach.
The seats have carbon fiber frames that are covered with a translucent material. The rear seat, this is a 2x1 seating setup, can be folded down for additional cargo space. The interior has a lovely sense of roominess from both the large windscreen and from a glass roof at the rear of the vehicle.
Here on Concept Cars, we usually show the finished article, but now we have an opportunity of giving you an insight into the design and build process of one of them, the sexy Seat Altea.
Join us on a voyage of discovery from the fertile imaginations of this car's design team right through to the finished concept car, ready for display at the Frankfurt Motor Show. The Altea has sweeping curves, flamboyant headlights, and a gorgeous aluminium-trimmed dash. Plus, there are clever features like this efficient wiper system. Everything has to be thought about and designed, and that's where these people come in.
One particular thing we're very proud of is the wipers. I mean, it's something designers tend to forget until the end of the project. We've got to put the wipers on, okay, and they're a pretty ugly thing. So we've incorporated the wipers from the start, and they've been integrated in the A-post. If you look at the car closely, you have to look to find them. But one advantage we found by putting the wipers in the A-post is there's nowhere to put a parking ticket now.
Do you know what I envy the most about car designers, Howard?
What's that?
When I was a kid, I only got a small crayon box. Look at the selection these guys have to work with now. Every color and thickness known to man. Plus, they can have fun all day coloring and get paid for it.
But you see, my Canadian friend, it shows how important the organic touch still is, even in these days of computerized wizardry. You've got to start with literally a clean sheet of paper.
But they do transfer the ideas to computers eventually, don't they? I guess it's how they see pieces fit into each other and see the entire car from different angles.
But then, bizarrely, bizarrely, they leave the computer alone and play musical chairs in the office. Well, at least it looks like it. Here they've cleared some desks and the odd water cooler to build a mock-up of the interior of the Altea. Why don't you try this in your office some damp Thursday afternoon?
And then, after some office parlor games, these folks get to play with clay. Here they're mocking up the interior dash to check out the ergonomics.
Meanwhile, down below in the workshop, the exterior bodywork is also moulded in clay. I bet the clay shop thought the lads had taken up pottery classes when they put the order in. How they get the curves just right is absolutely amazing. And of course, what they do on one side has to be precisely the same on the other. Sometimes things aren't perfect and need a little bit of rubbing down before the big paint job.
Well, once it's all red and shiny, the cute sparkly bits can be glued on, which really gives us a good feeling of what this car would look like if it were a production vehicle. The man-hours on these concepts must be a heck of a lot. It takes months and months to get to this stage. This ain't some weekend garage tinkering. Finally, all the remaining rough bits are covered over, and the concept Seat Altea is ready for the big show.
This model heralds a new generation of Seat models and is the first vehicle to be wholly developed within the Audi brand group since it was established in 2002. This model is the first of Seat's so-called MSVs, or multi-sports vehicles. Please, not another car category!
What you'll notice about this car is very much sportier than the cars that it's competing against in this group, namely Citroën Picasso, the Renault Scenic. It's not your typical monovolume car. It's got a very sporty look, first of all, to its design. And also when you sit in the car, you feel very much like you're more in a sporty car than an MPV.
The Altea possesses the stylish new traits of Seat's models. The front end features a large radiator grille and nice expressive headlamps.
Car designers always have in mind what they call the dynamic line. It's the artistic bench line which holds the shape together. Here, the dynamic line is visible from the side, starting at the front wheel arch and descending gracefully over the doors until the rear wheel. This line was designed by Walter de Silva, Seat's ace design director, and we're going to see this shape in Seat's future production models.
And if you look at the car, it has this feature line that runs down the side of the car, and we like to call this our signature for the road, if you like. We need a line that's immediately identifiable with the Seat brand, so people say, wow, that's a Seat, you know, without looking at it twice.
But what's on the gadget front, I hear you ask? The Altea features several novelties, including FSI engine technology, a dual-clutch DSG gearbox, a newly designed front suspension, multi-link rear axle, new electromechanical steering gear, individual driver and passenger air conditioning, and an exclusive Seat development, windscreen wiper blades camouflaged in the A-pillar.
Isn't that a great idea, Howard? Why didn't anyone else think of this? When you don't need them, they stay out of vision. Plus, more importantly, they don't add to the wind resistance of the car like the best inventions. Simple, but brilliant.
The Altea prototype is not just another concept car or a demonstration of the Seat Design Centre's creative talents. It's just a few steps away from becoming a reality. It's a true prototype that shows the styling of the new model that will become a pillar of the Spanish brand, sharing the spotlight with the Ibiza and Leon models.
This is the future of Seat for the next few years. Obviously, we're going to develop on what you're seeing here today, but this is the new image for Seat in the future.
That's all for part one. What if you could swap the entire body of your car? This is General Motors' Autonomy, which boasts a wide range of achievements. If you have one of these in your garage, you could really surprise your neighbours by driving out in a different car each day. You'd have the neighbourhood ganging up to drag you out to burn you as a witch or wizard, because nobody would really understand what the heck's going on in there.
This is, as the concept shown here, is the General Motors and Opel vision for around 2015, how a vehicle can look like. So the vehicle we will bring onto the road will be different in dimension, also different in styling, to show the flexibility of such kind of concept. But it will definitely cover this kind of concept.
Inside your garage, you would simply be removing the old body and clipping on a new one to ring the changes. Now, this is a good idea. However, nobody's quite worked out yet where the average person would store all the spare body shells, or also how you'd clip the body on without specialized equipment. But these are mere details.
Hydrogen will power the fuel cell power system, which creates electric energy and powers the electric drive system to bring mechanical force to the wheels. So this is a propulsion system of the future, environmental friendly, no emissions. So running on pure hydrogen is really the future, we believe.
The General Motors Autonomy, the car with many identities.
Now let's check out the Renault Modus. More than a concept, this is a prototype of an all-new mini MPV we'll see later on in the year in our showrooms. It takes ideas from the successful Scenic and takes them one step further.
The Modus is more of a show car than a concept car, in the sense that the car is very close to the production model which we will be launching in the autumn. It's a one-box compact vehicle with a very large wheelbase, which ensures that we have a great package inside for being able to put 5 persons. Associated with that, there are a lot of new features, namely that of, for example, the rear seat, which transforms from a 3-seat to a 2-seat. It has a integrated bike carrier. The other example would be the tailgate, which we've noticed that when you park, if somebody parks behind you and is very close up, you can't open your hatchback. So we've had a second trap door which you can open, so it pivots from the bottom, and you can then place the shopping that you have with you. So that's another idea which we had just looking at the way people live.
The North American International Motor Show at the world capital of the motor car, Detroit, is the place where American car makers are keen to show what they can do. And you've guessed it, that means loads of cutting-edge concept cars. In 2004, General Motors produced not 1, but 3 concepts, all based around their new Kappa rear-wheel drive platform. The first was this, the incredible-looking Saturn Curve. It may have been designed to appeal to American hearts, but the show car was actually built in Pininfarina in Italy. Saturn is General Motors' low-end domestic brand, intended to compete head-on with Japanese and Asian imports. The Curve marks a new direction for the company. In coming years, GM plan to expand the marque with more vehicles and more striking designs. Designer Shiyushi Yamashita explains to us at Concept Cars the idea behind the Saturn Curve.
For me, Saturn is the car for contemporary design. So my goal is to combine the contemporary Saturn design icon with a traditional sports car proportion. That was my basic concept of this exterior design of Saturn show car.
Under the clamshell bonnet lurks a 2.2-liter Ecotec engine delivering around 230 brake horsepower. On the outside, the shape is dominated by huge 20-inch wheels that nearly come up to the door handles. The floating roof and wraparound roof pillars have a hint of the Mini, don't they? A curved center console is one of the car's prominent features inside. Housing the dials and instruments, designers claim it conveys lightness and airiness. Well, designer Nico Vardis is very proud of it anyway.
As we spend more time in our cars, a warm and inviting environment becomes more important as we spend a lot more time. I mean, I'm not talking just getting in it and then that's it. I mean, I wanted something to like carry on that warmth and to keep you interested in the interior.
The second of General Motors' concepts, based on their new Kappa platform, was this, the Chevrolet Nomad. The car shares the name and styling cues with a concept car from 1954. The 50s Nomad was based on the original Corvette, and you can still see the influence of vintage Corvette grille and round headlights on this car. Lovely, eh? In the early 90s, there was a trend for car designers to look to car designs that the public knew and loved in the past for inspiration. Cars like the Volkswagen Beetle and Jaguar XJ are of course examples of retro-style designs. These days, retro has become something of a dirty word among car designers. Maybe that's why British car designer Simon Cox is keen to establish the Nomad as much more than a mere retro design.
Using some of the heritage that we've got, you know, within Chevy, within GM, I think it's really putting the real great character back into our cars. We don't have to do it in a retro way. You know, we can use details, we can use feeling, however we want, you know, and it'll be a different usage for different products.
Using the Kappa rear-wheel drive platform, the Nomad should offer stiff, sporty handling. The Nomad is another one of these fashionable crossover vehicles. It's neither a sports car or coupe, but sitting in between. Under the bonnet is a turbocharged 2.2-liter version of GM's Ecotec 4-cylinder engine, mated to a 5-speed automatic transmission which allows the driver to change gear using Formula One-style paddles. Inside the cool blue interior, the dash lighting is more suited to the interior of a nightclub than a car, but that's exactly what Chevrolet were going for. Continuing the theme, a powerful stereo system is fitted with speakers in the dash, doors, and subwoofers in the armrests. Wow, that's a way to really feel those grooves. And they haven't forgotten about practicality. The rear seat can be folded, and the rear tailgate folds for increased space. Finally, the Pontiac Solstice is an example of a car that started out as a concept car but caused such a stir that General Motors felt they had to put it into production. Powered by a 2.2-liter supercharged 4-cylinder engine, producing up to 240 brake horsepower and using the same 6-speed manual transmission as fitted in the Corvette. The Solstice sits on 19-inch wheels at the front and 20 inches at the rear. So who is this car aimed at? Well, the Mazda MX-5 has been as successful stateside as it has over here. To keep costs down, the roof folds manually, which must come as a shock for gadget-mad Americans. GM are aiming for an entry price in the States of less than £14,000. So who is the Solstice aimed at?
This is really geared towards a little bit more youth-oriented marketplace. It's a sub $20,000 vehicle, so it's affordable to just about everybody. And it's got classic lines done in a very modern way. Inside the cabin is simple, with most of the information on a small LCD screen. Like the Saturn Curve, designers have paid particular attention to the interior.
In today's marketplace, you can't come with half the story, especially with a Roadster. A Roadster, the interior is completely visible from the outside, and the design language needs to flow from the outside inside. So will the Solstice be a hit for General Motors? Vice Chairman of Product Development Bob Lutz certainly thinks so.
I've always been fascinated by the idea of the small, affordable Roadster, and I see everybody else sort of doing it wrong. You know, the Honda S2000 got too expensive, the BMW Z3 is too expensive, Porsche Boxster is too expensive. And I see no reason why you couldn't do something like that and target it for more like around $20,000 to maybe $21,000 by using excellent high-volume parts out of the General Motors parts bin.
It's difficult to imagine a time when concept cars didn't exist. These mainstays of the show circuit have become as commonplace as electricity and indoor plumbing. But in 1938, the idea of creating an expressive automobile to explore new worlds of design and technology may have seemed as fanciful as spaceflight. General Motors was the first manufacturer to take this step, and the result was the Buick Why Job, a car that's widely acknowledged as the industry's first concept car. This was the actual car driven by GM Vice President of Design Harley J. Earl through the streets of Grosse Pointe, Michigan on sunny summer afternoons just to get the reactions from the punters. Brought over to the UK to star at the Goodwood Festival, you have to admit, even if you don't like it, it's astonishingly different from anything else from the late 1930s. Harley J. Earl was the catalyst for the creation of this unique automobile. Colourful, charismatic and opinionated, Earl left his mark on generations of GM products. The Why Job was a signpost that pointed to design trends that would endure for decades. Gone were the running boards and formal upright shapes of the classic coach builders. In their place, the Why Job had fenders that flowed seamlessly into the doors, integrated bumpers that complemented the bodywork, and strong horizontal styling elements. It introduced themes that would reverberate throughout the automotive industry through the 60s. While contemporary road cars rode on 16-inch wheels, Earl specified special 13-inch diameter rims to give the Why Job a lower stance. The small diameter wheels were backed with airplane-inspired finned brake drums that were more than a match for the Why Job's 320 cubic inch, 141 horsepower inline 8-cylinder engine. Why the Why Job name? In Earl's lexicon, every new project was a job. The letter Y went one step beyond the prosaic X for experimental designation and paid homage to the prototype fighter planes that were identified with the prefix Y by aircraft manufacturers. So there you go, a good job well done.
Another concept from the Chrysler Jeep stable is the Dodge Slingshot. Boldly distinctive, this new concept from Dodge is practical, adaptable, and above all, affordable, with fuel efficiency as a key part of basic design.
And you never know, the Slingshot may come to the UK as a Dodge.
Folks, we're out of time, so we'll see you soon for more concept cars.
Bye for now, thanks for watching.